Okay, sounds like we're taking up the 49th.
So on the 49th South Holmes signalization project, which you're kind of wanting an update. We've got a updated right-of-way map. That right-of-way is gonna be affecting your property a little bit. That we have looked at scaling it back from what we had originally looked at. We're also, there's kind of a map that we've got presented that we've sent to a right-of-way negotiator, and we're gonna get him under contract fairly soon, and he's going to be approaching the landowners out there probably in August sometime. But we have scaled it back along 49th South, quite significantly from what we had originally kind of proposed as far as that ultimate build out right away. We don't need as much to accomplish just the signalization. And so sometime in the future, it will be coming back to you. But I don't know when that will be and whether it'll be the county or city of Idaho Falls doing it at that point in time.
So when you say back to me, what does that mean?
What we showed you on that map is what is needed for a 5-lane intersection road
On house, yeah.
on Holmes and on 49. And so we backed off of the 49th because based on some other information, we think that 49th might be able to suffice as just a 3-lane
Yeah,
road.
but I understood that 49 is gonna be 3 lane.
Well, for right now,
Yeah.
but we were looking at the right of way take for a 5-lane for a future. And so we're squeezing that in and not gonna come and request that much right away from
On the 49th side.
on the 49th side.
Okay. Where is this map at? The updated one?
Well, it's right now, it's in design, and so
Oh,
there,
okay.
it's not for necessarily public.
Okay, so Pillar's working on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keller's working on it, we'll get it finalized, and that right away negotiator, when we get him under contract, will be approaching you, and he'll have those maps to show you.
Okay, and and he's gonna maybe potentially start in August.
I'm hoping that we can get them going by August, yeah.
Okay, and the home side won't change, but the 49th is
Yes,
under the way you've got it drawn,
Yes.
as of under design now.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we'll see how it goes. I don't think I have anything other than that. Just I'm just gonna be here to kind of check and see how things are going. You'll kind of see me often,
okay.
so. And do you mind if I hang out for a minute?
No, you're welcome to stay for the meeting,
Okay.
you bet.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and go to the resolution now.
So this is resolution number 2411, replaces resolution number 2213. Regarding the International Fire Code is adopted and establishing a Department of Fire Prevention and appointing a fire code official. Essentially, the changes are everything that's located within an incorporated fire district in Bonneville County will be the responsibility of the fire district to enforce, to do the inspections, to do the plan review on those projects. So they'll be the fire marshal for the fire district area. Everything that's located outside of the fire districts that's still in Bonneville County will still defer to my office as my office will appoint the fire marshal for everything outside of the fire districts.
Where is that? How much is that that's outside the fire district then?
Really, the rural areas.
Stop to.
Yeah,
You got central.
Yeah.
That way. And you've got
so there's probably very few fire responsibilities that will actually take charge of,
Dam to Indian Creek.
which with the sheriffs really, we coordinate with them over the rural area. So that's how we've always done that. But
And this will happen immediately or?
yeah, so it's effective immediately, and then there's a notice of publication, summary statement on the back of the resolution that'll be published to ratify the decision.
And this was at the request of the fire district.
Yes, this was from the request from the fire board. They had their attorney write us a letter requesting the turnover because of the way the state statute is written that gives them the jurisdiction.
So does it take effect when we adopt when it's published?
Takes effect upon adoption today.
Okay.
Any questions or discussion?
Whatever the number was.
2411, I think.
Adopt resolution 24. Second motion.
Okay. Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll get it signed. Good job getting that done. So we'll go ahead and go to the road vacation,
The findings of fact.
the findings of fact.
Okay, findings of fact, the matter came before the Bonneville County Commissioners as a request to vacate portions of Daisy Lane, Crossroads Avenue, Florence Road, together with lots, blocks, and public utility easements platted in the Crossroads subdivision and the first amended Crossroads subdivision. Findings of fact, number one, the Board of Commissioners has jurisdiction over unincorporated areas and highways in Bonneville County. Number two, as provided by Idaho Code, county received a petition for the vacation of portions of Daisy Lane, Crossroads Avenue, Florence Road, together with lots, blocks, and public utility easements platted in those subdivisions. Number three was the legal description provided by the client of the area requested for vacation. Number four, the petition to vacate the roadways, blocks, and easements comes from JJS Cabo LLC, owners of the lots and blocks within said Crossroads subdivision and first amended Crossroads subdivision. Number five, letters and notice of public hearing were duly prepared, mailed to property owners within 300 feet, along with known utility owners and operators. Notice was published in the Post Register as required by law. Public hearing was held June 12th, 2024 at 10 o'clock here in the Commissioners' hearing room. At the public hearing, the commissioners took oral and written testimony from all interested persons. Minutes of the public hearing were taken, meeting was recorded, and will be placed in the official minutes of the Bonneville County Board of Commissioners. There was no written or oral opposition to the request presented at the hearing. And on the conclusions, number five, after considering all the testimony and information presented at the public hearing, the commissioners conclude as follows: that the Board of Commissioners formally accepted the dedication of Daisy Lane, Crossroads Avenue, Florence Road, and the public utility easements with the approval and recording of the Crossroads subdivision and the first amended Crossroads subdivision plats. B, Crossroads Avenue, Florence Road, and portions of Daisy Lane were never constructed to Bonneville County standards. C, there was no written or oral objection to the petition vacation. D, vacating Crossroads Avenue, Florence Road, and portions of Daisy Lane will not landlock any parcels of ground. E, the vacation of streets, lots, blocks, and public utility easements will not have any adverse effect to the public. And F, these streets do not provide access to public lands or waters. So in the order shall be entered into the official Bonneville County Board of Commissioner minutes vacating portions of Daisy Lane, Crossroads Avenue, Florence Road, together with lots, blocks, and public utility easements platted in the Crossroads subdivision and first amended Crossroads subdivision. Number one, the public utility easement along the west side of 45th West as platted, along with the public utility easement, irrigation easement along the north side of Woodville Canal as platted shall remain. And number two, that the foregoing findings of fact and conclusions allowing this order shall be recorded in the office of Bonneville County Recorder.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, I missed part of that. Would you mind doing that again?
And if you want,
No.
It seemed to me like you had all of the facts that I was concerned about, all the information in.
I move that we approve the findings.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the findings and in support of vacating that road. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you, David, for getting that done. Is there a signature sheet for us? Yes.
Recorded.
Okay, we'll go ahead and go to discussion on the Bear Creek Road.
So you were hopefully able to read the letter from Keller that I emailed out.
I'm gonna forward that on, if it's okay with you, to Simpson's wildland specialist and
Yeah,
folks in the.
well, I just wanted to, if you have any questions about it, do you want me to have Keller to go to work and put in together an additional scope of work to do this? What are your feelings towards it?
It's when gotta be done, right?
Yeah,
Just matter when.
Do we want to spend more money on it though now before we get approval for funding?
We've got to
I
find
can't
out.
have approval for funding until we know what it's gonna cost, and this is gonna expand, this is gonna put us back where I think the outer limit on the original 90%. Yes.
Yeah, and you still have to have an idea for cost if it's a big local project, is that not to budget it in the future? How do we change?
Is there any concern that there'll continue to be sliding beyond this? I hate to do another scope of work and then have more.
Is that what we have to look at, is how much further they think it is?
so on the upper end where that bigger crack was, it goes up to that curve, and where the curve is, the road is a lot further away from the main down into the valley. So they felt like looking at it, that as it comes up to the curve and it levels out, we're not gonna have as much problem with it as leading up to that curve. And then downstream of there, I'm not sure that there's really any guarantee that it's not gonna keep doing the same thing that it's doing, just there's no evidence of it yet. That whole road through there is, I mean,
Well, the whole mountain range is that way.
yeah, it is, so.
The state engineer was up and he said, you know how you know when this is gonna stop slipping? I said, when? He said, when it's all at the same level.
I don't know if you have choice, because you can't really close that.
How much will this cost to do the additional?
Well, that's what
We need to get.
that's what we need to get from them, and that's why they put together an additional scope of work, and that has the cost associated with it.
But I mean, just to put together the scope of
To
work.
put together the scope of work won't cost them anything to do, because I'll just ask them to put together a scope of work, and they'll wrap their preparation of that into the whole overall cost.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, I'll get back with them and have them start working on that, and when they get it together, I'll bring it back to you.
Okay.
The next thing is, we kind of talked a little bit before about this high capacity roadway study. Kayla, could you, pull up that PDF and kind of, I think it's page 23. Hopefully this page, within a page or two of that. Yeah. And page 23 is an exhibit of kind of an overarching view of what they're hoping to do here. So you can see the purple is a proposed expressway, which looks a whole lot more like Highway 20 or Highway 26 than it does a Sunnyside Road. And then Sunnyside, 25th East, 45th East are proposed as strategic arterials, which looks a lot, probably less impact or a less access than the current Sunnyside Road is. What this doesn't show is that I-15 US 20 connector portion that is now, right now is being planned from the end of the purple up to US 20. And it shows it as a black line, but it doesn't show it as.
Who proposed this? Where'd this come from?
This is coming through BMPO and is the access or the high capacity roadway study.
This is absolutely insane. This is,
Their intent is, what their report showed was that by doing this, it takes a sizable amount of traffic off I-15 through Idaho Falls and turns it around on the blue or purple line.
If you go back to,
south.
if you go to page, well,
Diverts it at 45th and then
yeah,
So
so
things basically, go through all those subdivisions the city has just approved out there.
there's a couple of them south of 65th South that they've talked about that and adjusting that curve, and these are broad lines for a purpose.
It's got
Because-
major conflict with Ivywood.
It's Ivy Wood, but it's also conflict with the fairgrounds and Sandy Downs. It cuts fairgrounds and Sandy Downs into with a
you're like
expressway.
49th isn't red, right?
Well, but the other part of this is I don't know that I agree with the way they're doing this because of currently developments underway.
Yeah,
And I'm looking at it going, okay, look, guys, I'm sorry, and I'll voice in. I'm very aware of the traffic patterns because I live there. And 49 South goes clear from the foothills all the way to Royal Bend. And it is a major carrier. And 49 South, in my opinion, used to look an awful lot like Sunnyside. Awful.
Okay,
But
so-
that's just
Yeah.
what I see
Well,
because
and-
of the traffic.
This is a 215 loop.
It is,
Salt
it
Lake,
is,
not
it is. I look at this and I go, oh boy,
And they're saying this is 30 years on the inside.
yes.
Yeah,
the question I've got, you know, what's that plan of 5-6 or 4H? I mean, it basically ruins it. I don't think they can use eminent domain against the county.
It wouldn't
Well,
go,
Talked about the
county.
fairground, this is gonna go. south
it
of
wouldn't
the
go
fairground.
through 4-H. They would push it south of
South
the
of the
fairgrounds
fairgrounds.
and then have a, basically an exit off the expressway to the fairgrounds.
So if that area to the northwest was in an ag protection zone,
They'd have to go around it.
They're gonna have to work around all that
None
stuff.
of the
to
other
get to
curves
that.
are like
the
that.
ag protection zone forbids. this
Only
kind of
allows
stuff.
eminent domain for widening, I'm pretty sure, let me double check, but that's what I remember off the top of my head.
Widen.
It's
That's
for
what's-
it's for widening existing rights.
Yeah, it's not to take for new.
so if you go to page 25,
Oh, my phone's.
Page 25 shows, what this shows is a projected level of service for all of these roads, if they're built according to that. So if you scroll down just a little bit, you have the level of service A, B, C, D, E, F. We still have some congestion, some severe congestion downtown on 17th and 25th East, and that's gonna probably continue. But a lot of the other areas out there, 49th South, and it's developed as a 3-lane, now shows a level of service A for the most part, which is free-flowing traffic. 65th South now shows a level of service A, which is free-flowing traffic. The expressway has a level of service A. On the west, it has a level of service A. 45th East as if it's able to be done as a strategic arterial, you have a level of service A for most of it. And so again, we're going back to, this is a projected, a model run, that if it's built out this way, we still have congestion in certain areas, but we relieve a lot of congestion along a lot of other corridors.
Got the impression they hadn't looked at any current aerial photographs of any of this. And they
I'm not
hadn't driven any of it. No.
They haven't driven most of it, and during the meeting that you were attending, Austin was attending, I got a hold of Steve Lewis and just specifically about, so Steve Lewis used to be with Keller, he's now with,
Online.
yeah,
Or,
yeah. So I had him specifically look at that intersection of 65th South and 45th East. And it's like, you're trying to end a strategic arterial into an expressway, and you've got a road coming down out of Camora Loma, and it's just like, this is a nightmare.
That's not gonna work.
So, I mean, no, I don't think that most of them have looked at the photographs, and this study is again trying to look forward to 2050 and how do we preserve and protect some of these corridors, be able to relieve some of the congestion. And this is some ideas about how to
At
deal with
least a mile further south and a mile further east to start their planning.
That's what I would do, because we already see what the city's doing with subdivisions.
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty obvious to me, and the other part is I hope Falls High School is gonna move to 49 South at some point. Did anybody take that into consideration?
that is being tried to be taken into consideration with some of what we're talking about.
I mean, it is gonna move at some point.
My history, 30 years. Here has seen several versions of this, but Sunnyside,
here in
the
86,
49,
the last
which
one
we
was
tried,
printed.
which we tried to get them to plan for, to 65th, which we tried to get them to plan for. And they just go ahead and keep, 65th, around Ivywood's one of the biggest clusters I've seen, the way they plant offsetting roads.
Yeah.
So we're gonna, now, is this?
And all the discussion for this is like, oh, yeah. And all the
So
discussion. for
it's
this is
projected
there's
through
no
some of
money
this
for it.
is $325 million.
I know, but what about the study?
The study.
Study's paid for by
Paid for.
PO.
Yeah. This is finishing up.
But it still costs. It's still.
Grant,
Yeah, there's still a
it's
cost, but
Yeah.
How much was the study?
I don't remember how much it was.
I think they budgeted
Like
throughout the whole process.
100 and
It's like
something.
325, yeah.
So who am I gonna be offending when I say how poorly this is done?
You don't have.
DKS, but I mean, DKS is an engineering
So it's
firm.
just an engineering
Yeah.
firm?
Yeah,
And they don't, like I said, they haven't been out and they just look at a map.
but that's why this is our opportunity to
Yeah,
say those
best
things.
opportunity.
And have it brought up, because I've tried to bring up some of these, Austin has brought up some of these. The city of Idaho Falls has talked about some of these things too, but if it goes through, and nobody says anything about it, they're gonna come back to you in a fairly short amount of time and said, we want you to adopt this study. And that means that the county is gonna have to
Protect those
protect
areas.
those areas and maybe do eminent domain in order to protect some of those areas.
Which in the past we have not adopted, and that's where we got crossways with on the old Butte extension.
Yeah.
You know, because it's what they wanted, they assumed that we would go along with it, which.
And I don't think the overall concept is a bad idea. I just don't know that it's all the right locations. I think in the long run, 30 years from now, if we continue growth the way that we've been growing, you're probably gonna need some sort of traffic route like this, right? But I think especially south, I mean, they were trying to do alignment on 65th South to begin with, and we all told them, no, you gotta go further south. There's way too much development there
Yeah.
already. So I don't know that the overall concept is a bad idea. It's just, I don't know that all the locations are the exact right spots that they should end up.
And I agree that overall concept, we do need to figure out a way to keep the congestion minimized in a lot of this area. And a lot of this area right now is under county jurisdiction.
Well,
And we're trying to look for ways of
the
getting
next
people out
stop
around.
is what's that, 81st?
81st would be the next mile road south.
There's not a lot of development on there yet.
Not yet.
No, the problem is you can't get on the eastern end. You can't, you either have to go between Foothill and Haley, or you have to go past Foothill.
And it's almost always better if you can to try to split it, cause then you're not interfering with all the private access that's already on the roadway.
You
And
know, middle mile.
it can
between-
function more as an expressway, cause you're not dealing with individual accesses.
And you have to deal with the river crossing. And how do you do that?
And
And
that's the problem down on the lower part, you'd have to.
Up there, so you put a landfill, right?
Which they're already gonna have to loop it a lot further than
Yeah.
what this is shown because of Ivywood, and they know that. I don't know why they haven't changed the study to reflect that, but.
Can I ask a question? Is
Sure.
there any way that we can go through start putting some development moratoriums on some of these areas to say this is being looked at for these expressways?
that's what this study provides ammunition to both the cities and the county to be able to say along these corridors, we start restricting what can happen.
Yeah, cause we don't, we can make all the studies that we want, but if they still keep putting houses and stuff in places.
Well, that's again.
Yeah, I know.
Early on, there was a pretty heated discussion about the whole concept, and that in the past, they've gone through this process, made their decision, and then held a public meeting. And their decision's already made when they hold a public
Yeah,
meeting,
exactly.
and that's not the right approach.
Yeah, that's why we hold public meetings, they're made decisions.
That we need to be able to go to the public with a number of options that are still actually options and not decisions.
And we did have a public open house in November.
And there'll be another one.
And there will be another one.
I do agree with the concept, and I do agree with what they're trying to do. I agree with him on the fact that I just think it's not well done. But I also understand we're in the motion of trying to figure all this out.
Well, and I made the point to them in all the meeting, cause they were asking about jurisdictional support and trying to improve traffic patterns, and I said, all I said to them, this was after the meeting was closed, but I said, I think it's pretty evident that Bonneville County is interested in improving these situations by what we just spent our own money on 45th East, which is what you're showing is the major north-south mover on that side of town. So I said, I don't think we're talking about a question of support from
And his
local
ire got up
jurisdictions
We
because
had roundabouts.
we already
around more
made
years.
a significant investment in support on north and south. So it's not about, do we have jurisdictional support? It's about making sure we're doing this in the right locations and
Yeah.
making the correct long-term plan.
It'd be awful hard to put that major traffic mover along 45th.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got it out to 5 lane with the ability to expand to 5 lane.
And in the portions that we've done,
Too
yeah.
many driveways, too many crossroads.
But-
There's a lot of driveways,
Entrances.
Not a drive.
and it's just strategic arterial. Most of those driveways should, you try to find an alternative way to do it.
Well, we could build a wall and box in the houses like that one section on Sunnyside, where there's little.
Well, but that is an option. It's not a great option, but it is an option.
Well, but Sunnyside,
Short with fire trucks.
you know, we got the plans together on that enough, and the city was preserving the accesses. You know, then we had to purchase the rest of it. You know, Sunnyside is as close as you've got to a controlled access type road.
As we have around here, right?
But, you know, they didn't learn from that on 65th.
The other reason I bring up the 49th South is because your accesses, your driveways on 49th South right now aren't nearly as great. Because there's still a lot of just open ground. And therefore you don't have to worry about it much from one end to the other as you would on some of these other roads. As I drive 49th South from one end to the other, a couple times a week. So just food for thought.
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, just you guys need to be aware of the direction that they're going and
And both Austin and I have expressed concerns over different areas multiple times, but we don't get a vote, so that's why having an elected official, a policy board, bringing up some of these concerns, it's like, guys, are you really doing the right thing here? Have you looked, I mean, do we need to look at further south? Do we need to go a mile further south? Do we look at another river crossing? I mean, make sure that we have those comments known for more than just Austin tonight.
well, and the north connection is 49th North.
Which, yeah, you go back to
Which
page
I
23,
brought up in the meeting last week and said, well, the county realizes that that needs to be a 5-lane section. We've already been
we've been trying to
putting that
approach it to
forward,
that.
but there's gonna be a school on there. Their recommendation
There's
was,
gonna be what?
their recommendation
An
was that we put a roundabout where the school is, and I text Lance and said, well, I thought a strategic arterial was supposed to be a high-speed mover, so why do you take it and put a roundabout? in it?
That's the last exit. I thought you made that.
Yeah,
pretty clear.
there's different ways to mitigate that, but I just wanted them to know, hey, all of these areas that you've identified on the east and north side of town that need to be strategic arterials, the county's already planned that. We're
At
already,
least as a major arterial.
yeah, we're already working towards that on all of these roadways, so I think sometimes they get the notion of, well, they're not in support of this, and it's like, well, we've supported it out of our own funding for
For
a
quite
long
while.
time now. So. Anyways,
Cause, you know, the Sunnyside project, that's been what, 25 years ago?
Not quite that long, but
Yeah, I mean, you know.
it's been about 17, 18.
It took working with the state to extend Sunnyside, I think that's back when Lee Gagne was
Yeah,
on transportation. And they got the funding to do that, and we put the money together to get the rest of it. And it's probably, there doesn't seem like we need to start looking at that, duplicating that again.
well, and the other day in the meeting, it kind of, and I heard part of it because I was on Teams, and when you listen on Teams, there's a lot of stuff going on. But there was, it kind of, I got the feeling like City of Idaho Falls is looking at like, well, this is all in the county, so they have to do it.
I
And
believe
when you
that's what
look at-
Lisa Burgenshaw said. I'm in favor of this because it's all in the county.
And that's what I thought I heard,
that's
but
because I told her, I said, they were talking about funding and she told me that they were having to struggle with their budgets, just jokingly. I said, well, you're gonna have to work hard on your budget to get all the funding in here, Lisa.
I think she probably did that a little tongue in cheek, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't,
But if they're serious about that, don't duplicate us like Ivy would here,
Yeah,
you know?
and also if this is serious and it's all in county jurisdiction, then stop applying for BMPO stuff, cause all of this has to be BMPO. Run through BMPO in the funding cycle, so Idaho Falls stop applying for any project.
Yeah.
And all of these projects have to be county supported projects. And that will never happen.
Where's Ivywood? Which one is that?
It's right. Right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So but it goes all the way back here, so that's why they were talking, they're gonna have to curve this, and it's probably realistically gonna have to come clear out here and be
It's a
a
gravel
reverse
pit.
curve.
Right?
But then they
Well,
hit
there's
the
gravel
gravel
pits
pit,
in the
and
way
then they
too.
gotta fill it
Yeah, they
in, so
gotta
they
go
gotta try to
below
avoid
gravel.
those, yeah. So it'll be challenging, but.
Easier to stop growth.
And you
which
don't
is
have-
both very, very difficult.
I was gonna say, that's the easy part.
This is February 2nd,
Well,
Groundhog Day,
Groundhog Day.
yeah. Gonna relive it.
And
3:30.
again, the concept, trying to get the people out and around from I-15 and keeping those people off from going through the middle, trying to get them across the south side. I agree with the concept. I think the concept is a good thing to try to plan for, to make sure that we keep as many people get into places where they need to go without causing congestion everywhere.
It appears that the new Highway 20 I-15 interchange is a done deal.
I don't,
still
they're,
waiting for
they're
the
kind of
study.
treating it as a done deal, but it's still in the NEPA process.
Yeah.
And so to say that it's a done deal, I don't know that we can.
But they're just going through the motions.
Well,
Decisions
that's
been
the
made.
direction it's headed.
Yeah.
And until some fatal flaw or some other concept comes through to throw a fatal flaw at it, I think that's the direction it's gonna head, which it goes right through a patch. So,
Yeah.
Well, they still haven't decided what they're really gonna do at Beach's Corner. No,
no, and yeah, that's another really good question about this, cause you see it's looking as a strategic arterial, but it's like, well, ITD is kind of planned for that being a connector, so is that ITD's road? Cause right now it's not shown as ITD's road, it's shown as a strategic arterial, which is more of a county or a city road than a ITD route.
Be sure to get your ag prediction deal up and running as quick as you can.
It's going to planning and zoning tonight.
It is. Okay. Good.
We should be there by August.
Okay.
so
So the new I-15 corridor, that's gonna go just north of Sage Lakes, right? And come in. Is that how that is up there?
So it's south of Sage Lakes Golf Course.
Okay,
Yeah, kind of just,
it's kind of between.
it is between
why
there.
that's what I said, why it wouldn't.
But having other people comment on this than myself is needed.
Well, don't be afraid to leave me a little. Make sure I've got the right wording.
Well, and I'll try, that's why I wanted to get this in front of you and let you see it. You can get a copy of this if you want and go through it a little bit. more this afternoon.
Yeah.
So Kayla has it on that computer, hopefully you email that. It's a large file, but
A good suggestion would be if they're, because all of this is in the county and they're not worried about it. And then the areas that are affected should have the vote, not the ones that don't. Which argues for what we pushed for their makeup of the appeal board
Full representation.
novel concept.
I realize I'm a nobody, but I'd be willing to help if somebody wants it.
Well, I think probably the best thing you can do is come to the next public meeting and
And I will,
give public input on it.
we know when that is left.
Not for sure.
I think it was like the end of August
Yeah.
or something on the chart I
He comes
was
in,
looking at, but
like,
It's tentative, yeah. There hasn't been at any of the public meetings much in the way of attendance or comment.
Mhm.
People just,
the first one, we had pretty good turnout.
We had over 100 people at the first one, which is
Pretty
honestly a
good.
really strong turnout from what we typically had.
where
But
was that
just,
one?
that was at, College of Eastern Iowa, CI. But yeah, just in the regular meetings, no public attendance.
We advertise on our end, 49 South, because I would tell our engineer was talking to me about it, and I advertised it on, around the neighborhood, that's why some people showed up. But nobody knew about it, that's like, since I didn't know. Did I know?
Okay. What else have you got?
That was the biggest thing that I really wanted to get some traction
Where are
on
you?
this.
Jake Break.
We have a draft.
Yeah, we have a draft
And-
and sent to Weston and haven't seen anything back. I checked with him again today and see if we can get his comments on it. Talk about that most stuff.
I don't know that we have enough information. Yeah, so, solid waste, David Romer. He was, the Atmos people again about potentially treating the leachate. And treating it to a standard that is essentially drinking water standard. I don't know that I've seen enough information to go through a lot of it with you yet, but
It's supposed to get stuff to you and he hasn't yet.
yeah, so. But if we actually. They have supposedly a container system that will pump out of the pond and treat it to drinking water standards, and if DEQ would buy off on that, then we don't have to haul it anywhere.
Could you land that, land apply it?
At drinking water standards, yeah,
Yeah, you know, through Ursa, they kind of have that, and they still have to go through all the land applications.
processors, yeah.
They won't let them.
Just
spread
put
it
it
on
on.
tables. They will,
Yeah. Which, that's why I don't have enough information to go through a lot of it yet.
so in theory, you could land apply it on some of the.
Or just flood irrigated or whatever up on the areas that, of the landfill that haven't been active in a landfill yet.
So is this a new technology or?
I don't know that it's a new technology, it's a different approach to it. Well, so Atmos is the ones that we were talking with about getting an alternative daily cover.
Okay,
And so we had them come with a presentation about the foam alternative daily cover, and we were
Right.
looking into that some. And we hadn't been able to figure out exactly how that could work.
so these containers, how big are they?
The one, I think you
20
said
to 40
20
foot shipping container, it's like these. Essentially filters it. Filters out all the contaminants.
And then you end up putting the solids back on the waste in the cells
Any idea how much that'll cost?
Their proposal, I think, for the first year was $375,000. And that would treat, 2.5 million gallons, I think.
But that's a big question to me, is whether that's enough treatment.
What are we generating?
I think we're generating multiples of that over the course of a year. The pond itself is about 3 million gallons.
So the other alternative is just to take up more land mass and evaporate it, right?
That is a option. So I don't know that that's the best option for us too, because it eats up a lot of land. And as we start expanding that landfill, where do we go? Because if all of it's tied up with evaporation, you can't put the garbage there.
And they're still not willing to let us take it to Urson. Or I mean,
They, well,
they're.
we don't have a
basically concerned.
specific answer from them that they do not. In the letters that we've seen so far, they do not want us to count on that, but they do not want us to haul to Hershey. But they haven't put a hard line in the sand and said, you shall not haul to Hershey.
What do we spend hauling to Urson right now?
Last year, we probably spent over $300,000.
So if you were to treat it, land apply it, you'd probably be a multiple for that, 4 times that.
I don't know, I don't have enough information for you. I don't think it's a scale of if they could do 2 million for 325,000, I think they could do 4 million for 400,000. I don't think it's a direct linear
Yeah,
relationship.
I was just doing one is
Yeah,
300,000, you do 4 times that. So
I don't think it's a one-to-one relationship.
that's a interesting concept.
It is, and it's, again, it's not necessarily new technology for these. I mean, it's a filtration process. And so you filter through a series of filters or a screw press or some, like they do out in the Urson, you put it through some sort of filter process. You have a solid contaminant remaining, and then you have clean water coming out the end.
So you pump out of the pond into one end of the filter,
Yeah,
pump out of the other end of the filter into a truck.
into a truck or into a container or into a box or something to put back in the landfill. Which,
Oh, the solids, yeah.
yeah, so
I'm talking about the
The liquid.
liquids.
so the liquid, yeah, you would, I don't know, there's plenty of different options for that. You could put it in a truck or you could put it into an open flow situation where it went across the ground. Or you could put it into a smaller pond that you'd pump and use that for an irrigation system.
A lot of work. Got backpacking filters that filter out absolutely everything. Not the kind of volume you want, but
Like I say, it's not necessarily new technology.
it is even better though.
Okay,
Do you have anything else?
just a reminder that I am going on vacation starting tomorrow. And I'll be gone for a while. Not as long as Penny, but.
Me too.
You too.
I really am, yeah.
Well, not tomorrow.
So
Um,
I leave tomorrow, but leave Friday.
yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about these recharge ponds. So they're becoming a really big thing,
I've noticed.
especially with the curtailment, and Idaho Department of Water Resources are really pushing them, the state's really pushing them. So the county hasn't really ever done anything to permit them. Idaho Department of Water Resources permits them, the state gives them funding to do it. I've talked to the guy about it. The concern that's come up on my end now is in all these places that they're doing recharge, which right now there's 2 that they're doing on the Ryrie Highway. They have to dig them down to be able to create the recharge pond. Well, now they have all this gravel overburden from creating the recharge. So they're coming to me, Idaho Department of Water Resources, and saying, hey, we want to be able to sell the overburden of this gravel to contractors, people who need it, whatever. And my initial take at it is I said, well, that's a little concerning to me because essentially you're creating a gravel mine without having a gravel mine, because just because you're not putting a crusher in it and crushing the product, you're still piling it up and then selling it to the general public.
Like a
So
dirt pile they have there.
it's concerning to me, and I haven't really found anything yet. I've been doing some research as to how we need to handle it. Because my fear is if we just say, well, yeah, you can sell it, it's just overburdened product. Then you're gonna get HK and Knife River that go find these charges that are potential recharge sites.
And call it that instead of gravel.
And say we're gonna do a recharge and they're gonna run it for 5 years, getting it to the recharge state of selling the gravel out of it. And essentially, it's gonna operate as a gravel pit for that period of time until it becomes a recharge. So the only thing I could really think through in my head is, well, if they're gonna do a recharge site and they're wanting to sell the material, do we need to be doing a temporary permit for a mining operation to protect the general public surrounding them? Because even if they're just giving the material away, in the end, you still have all the same adverse effects as what you would have in a gravel pit for that time period, why they're establishing the recharge, because you're gonna have the dust, you're gonna have the trucks in and out of there, you're gonna have the increased traffic. I don't know what the answer is, but kind of wanted to bring it up and see if any of you had any ideas or brainstorm thoughts.
Being limited to the size of the recharge. I mean, when they go in to do a recharge, do they permit it from the state?
Yeah, so they've got a certain design and certain slopes, and
How big are they?
It depends.
depends on the site.
Figures that one out. By Ryrie, on 26.
Well, the one out by 55th.
They're huge. I mean,
So that was
yeah.
an existing gravel pit.
The one on
Put it in mine.
55th was existing, so they took an existing gravel
And they
pit
made
that
it
had been
bigger.
completely mined out and made it bigger.
Yeah, but isn't that the one that they had the issue with the city of Ryrie?
No,
And they said,
That's-
just use that.
that's Daryl's, and he did a temporary gravel pit. He got a permit because he wanted to use the material to do their canal project.
So
But
this,
all these other ones, they're just choosing a site and saying,
digging it
we're
out.
gonna go in and dig a recharge hole.
And if they approach it that way, HK, Tobacco, Knife River could all say, well, I don't need a gravel pit permit, I'm just gonna mine this gravel out and eventually turn it into a recharge pit.
So for a long time, I was thinking, well, the state handles all the permitting, they do all the sloping, they work with Department of Lands, they get all that stuff taken care of.
But they're not worried about the same stuff we are.
Now you're dealing with all this overburden and all this extra material that they're gonna be doing something with, and you still have the excavation period, which I don't know, I mean, could take years.
Well, especially if they have this long-term plan of making it a recharge pit, but in the meantime, they're gonna
And
mine gravel out of it.
the
for
other-
20 years.
The other confusing thing you get into, and this is kind of above our level, but I was just thinking about it. The state is funding these recharge projects, so they're giving them money to do them. There's grant dollars associated. So now you take a property owner, the state's coming in and funding the whole recharge project, they're giving them money to recharge the water. And now they're making money off of all the material they've excavated out of that. So then my second thought is, well, what does this do to the gravel industry? Because they don't have to put the money in to get to that point, so are they gonna be able to sell the product for
A lot less.
a lot less than what all the other companies who have gone through all the process to be able to do it, which they won't. It'll just,
Well, they will when there's so much of it that. the
Yeah.
Market drops. It's affected the market.
so an example, I was curious on how effective is the one we had the Landon's want that gravel pit down south of town. It was in the floodplain and everything else. You know, we didn't want to open up the area. Could they come in and do a recharge there?
The state would probably give them one, yeah.
In floodplain.
Yeah, and the state's actually starting to encourage, I was talking to the state floodplain manager 3 weeks ago. And she was saying in these floodplain situations, as a catch at the end, like when they've got to divert the water, they're encouraging them to make those catches recharges. So in the event of a flood, it comes down and all catches and recharge, and then that water can go back into the ground. So I just see with all this curtailment stuff that's going on, the state pushing this, it's gonna become a big deal, and I don't wanna, I don't know, I just don't know what to commit to them. Right now, I've just told them no, I just say, no, you have a mining operation and that's not permitted.
We denied it because of the floodplain. It
Right.
seems like they would take advantage. That's not where, but I was wondering, is these areas that, you know, it doesn't fit into the nature, you know, trying to keep those isolated. Can they just come in and start doing that, putting them every place now?
I think,
Right now, they could.
I
apply
think
for
so, unless we adopt something that says the county wants to be able to issue permits for recharge. And even if the state gives them a permit, we are more restrictive and they have to run everything through us. But I think if the state's gonna give them a permit, I think the only recourse that we would have is mitigation of whatever the impacts of that are. I don't know if the state tells them, hey, you can put a recharge here, that the county can tell them, no, you can't. I don't know that we wanna get in the middle of that debacle either with all the water issues.
More
you know?
restrictive, I think if we have our own.
But I think we could make them get a permit so that we can at least adopt restrictions for the mining periods.
Buffering.
Yeah.
Length of time. That's why I asked.
And then
Is there,
what can be done with the overburden?
yeah, is there permit, to get those recharges done? Kind of a length of time? You know, cause it seems like.
I don't know how long.
I'd have to look at some of the state ones. They don't even really send us copies. The guy that's over it's gonna come in and meet with me in a couple weeks. We tried to set it up a couple weeks ago, but he said because of the curtailment, his boss basically told him, no, you're not dealing with anything else till we get this figured out, so.
When that happens, maybe I'd be interested in.
Yeah, I'll let you know when the meeting is, but I just, like I said, at first, I'm like, well, couldn't really think through it, and now all these problems have come about.
But my input would be you should do at least the same as we do for gravel mining operations, dust.
Time of day.
You know.
Hours of operation to excavate, yeah.
Buffering, things like that. But then you're gonna have the problems with the neighbors coming in saying, you're putting a gravel pit.
And then there's gonna be traffic that what you're impacting as far as some of the areas that it's going into. All that other stuff too. That's the permitting would help with.
Well, I think that's all the things that we would wanna look at, just like we do with the gravel pit, is just mitigation.
Yeah.
Gravel pit, you know, we can say, well, hey, you can't open up a new area, we're not gonna let you do that, but if the state says, yeah, this is a good area for a recharge and we're gonna permit it, then at least we can mitigate while they're mining it out to get to the point of recharge.
I think that should include a time limit on when they'll have it mined out and get the recharge going. So it seems like the purpose of the recharge is to, as quickly as you can, get that water.
Get the
back.
water back into the aquifer, yeah.
Let them have that pile of rock and dirt sitting there.
It's
I'm just
interesting.
waiting for that 50
City
million.
of Idaho Falls tried
Across
to
that
do
dirt pile. and close
Recharge
26.
facility.
Do what?
The city of Idaho Falls tried to do a recharge facility over there off of Pioneer and they wouldn't take the water. So they haven't been putting water into it.
Well, then they try that out to take that HDK pit there behind KJ's.
I don't know, that was the one I was talking about was over off of Pioneer.
Yeah, see, that's the one that HDK wanted to make into a recharge pit. And the city basically came in and took it from them.
Yeah. Well, the same one, it didn't take water. And so it wasn't going
I
down.
was talking about the one Yeah, and KG's off of.
Sunny side.
So, yeah, that's a different one. So, yeah, I don't know.
Well, I just kind of want to let you know my thoughts, and my initial thought is just to add some section into the ordinance on recharge and mitigate it just like gravel pits.
So,
Well, if it makes you feel any better, there's Fox News, they had a couple, Democrat, Republican from different states, like, you know, the flooding was coming in. And they were talking about the, aquifer down below them, and I mean, it goes across multiple states, huge, down there on the Mississippi, and they're trying to figure the same thing out there. You know, because the crops are drying up, you know, they keep going into that aquifer, and that's going down.
Well, and that's why I think, you know, if these recharges really are of benefit for all of this curtailment stuff and getting more water back into the system and helping everybody countywide, I think it's a good thing. I just want to make sure that we're mitigating where we can while they're being built and not causing impacts that aren't intended. Like, well, the county doesn't do anything, so HK goes and buys every piece of ground that the state's identified for recharge and now has 10 years worth of gravel.
Or somebody buys property for sod farms to keep it farming.
It's just, you get too much of that speculation type stuff. I think if we don't have any regulation, but if it's regulated the same as a gravel pit for the operation till it goes to recharge, I think you get rid of that. Hopefully, or minimize it, yeah.
Otherwise, you won't get rid of the complaints.
well, keeps updated. Good luck.
Will do. Thanks.